Alright, so today we're going to hopefully figure out if this motorcycle engine runs or not. Now, just because I'm not building a frame for this engine right now doesn't mean we can't figure out if it runs or not. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take off all the plastics and expose the frame, the engine, and all that stuff just so I can access it more easily. So I was looking around, looking at this thing, feeling around, and I kind of felt something that's a little out of the ordinary with the coolant line. I'm hoping that this did not screw anything up. There's actual ice in the lines, in these coolant lines. I can't get it out. Let me try to get off the other side. Oh, wow. Oh, crap. That is not good at all. Neither is there the fact that there's ice in these lines. Yeah. But this is even worse. That's motor oil. That's motor oil. Okay, so that is definitely not a good sign that there's motor oil in the coolant. Starting to really not look good for this engine. But, oh. Yeah. There's actual chunks of ice in here. And I'm making a mess. So what could that mean? That could mean there's a bad gasket somewhere in here. And the person who had this last was a complete idiot and put water in here instead of water and antifreeze, or just plain antifreeze. Please don't make me regret buying this thing. So, yeah, this thing looks like it's been neglected, abused, and the last person that owned it really did not know what they were doing. So I guess the only thing to do right now is to take the carburetors apart and start cleaning them, and then see if it'll get a spark. Oh my gosh. That was a lot harder than it should have been. It's not the cleanest in here. I mean, it's not like shining brand new, but you know, what do you expect for something that's 23 years old? Alright, so taking these off was a lot harder than it should have been. They were really stuck on there, and I actually had to make some little special tool. I actually took just a normal screwdriver and welded it to the tip of this just rod, just so I can be able to get to these screws that were really long. So anyway, I'm going to take these things apart, and I'm going to be very, very careful not to mix any parts. So I'm going to first disassemble them, get them into each thing, and then take off all the plastics and all the rubber, because I actually went to the store and I bought this carburetor cleaner, and I'm going to soak each one individually in this stuff. I think it said for like 20 or 30 minutes. So first thing I need to do is take all these things apart and be very careful not to mix any of this stuff up. Alright, so I took all the rubber parts off of here. It doesn't say anything about brass or copper, whatever these are made out of, so I'm just going to leave them on there. If they get destroyed, then so be it. So the guy at the store told me to be very careful with this stuff because it will eat skin, so very careful not to touch anything. Put these two things, just put these things in the basket, and very slowly lower them back down. Just like that. And then put the lid back on, wait, let's say 20 to 30 minutes. Crap, it's already full. Oh, this was not planned out. Oh boy. Oh, this was not planned out. Hang on, I gotta dump this. Alright, so this oil is not bad, it's not old, there's no water in it. The main reason I wanted to pour the oil out and look at it is because I wanted to make sure that there's no water in it, there's no gasoline in it, there's no metal shavings in it. I'll be honest, with all the parts that I'm seeing on this bike that are potentially bad, if I had seen metal shavings in this oil, I probably would have cried. So yeah, once I pour the old stuff back in, and when I get the engine running permanently, I will replace this with new engine oil. I just don't want to replace it right now because I don't want to have to go to the store and buy it when it already has decent engine oil or motor oil already in here. So I'm just going to pour this stuff back in here and top it off with new motor oil. That's 4 motorcycles, and then we're going to see if this thing actually has a spark. Alright, so I just finished reassembling the carburetors. I didn't really record that much of me doing it. It was mainly really boring. The butterfly valves are now free to move. That took quite a bit of time to free those up. All of them were stuck pretty badly. I freed these up right here, these whatevers you call them, and so yeah, I made sure to not mix and match parts. I disassembled them individually, and then I took off all the plastics and all the rubber pieces, and the metal pieces I dunked in the carburetor parts cleaner for about half an hour each. I did them individually, and yeah, so I reassembled them, and something I noticed is in the float bowls of these carburetors, there was this really green residue that smelled like really old gasoline. I've never seen old gasoline have a green residue. I don't know if that's you know, in high-end gasoline. I have no idea, but it had a really distinct green tint to it. So I took all that out. I cleaned all of it up. I made sure all of these are not plugged up anymore, and so before I put this back on the bike, I want to first make sure the motorcycle has a spark. Alright, so I was looking at the wiring diagram I found online. I found one in English this time, and I found that you need to hook up a couple wires. There's a stop switch and obviously a starter switch. So the stop switch is black to black and white. So I just have some little bits of wire I'm going to just short these out with. Not short them out, but connect them. Just like that. Hopefully that works. And then there's the brown and black wire, which is this one right here. Needs to go to the yellow and red wire right here. So let's see if this will get it to turn over. Whoa. Oh, it's working. Awesome. Okay, so all right, let's see if it's making a spark. It's making a spark. It's sparking. I don't know if you guys can see it on camera. Let me turn off some lights. So let's see if you guys can see it now. Yeah, it's not really that strong of a spark, but at least it's actually working. So I think the next thing to do right now is to reinstall the carburetors and see if it'll fire up. What I'm going to do first is I'm going to spray some starter fluid in each of these and turn it over with the over here just so we see if it'll fire up. So I'm a little nervous because I really don't want this thing to blow up. So here we go. Here we go. You can hear it wants to turn over. Ah, come on. Alright, so choke is on. Let's try again. So yeah, you can tell that it really wants to fire up, and I'm not putting that much starter fluid in here, so what I'm going to do is tomorrow I'm going to actually fill the float bowls full of gasoline and see if it'll start up then. But it's a great sign, it wants to fire up, and yeah, I'm happy. This thing's it's turning out to look like it really wants to run. I'm happy I bought it. And yeah, so tomorrow we're gonna work on this thing more, but right now it's a little late. I gotta go upstairs. Alright, so I just put as much gasoline as I can in the float bowls. So let's turn the choke to on. Let's see if it'll fire up. Maybe it needs a little encouragement. Alright, so something that I remembered is when I was trying to get the Suzuki engine to run, it would never want to run when I had the air filter off. And I don't have the air filter for this, but I do have the bottom part of the air box. So I put the bottom part of the air box on here, and I put 2 layers of paper towels to kind of act like a air filter. So I'm hoping that this will maybe get it to work. Whoa. That was a backfire. It's wanting to kick over. It's really wanting to. It's trying, but there's just I don't know, something that's not quite right here. It fired up off camera. I'm trying to get it to fire up again. I turned the camera off. I let it sit for a minute, and I turned it over, and it fired right up. And now it's not doing it in front of the camera. Come on. You can do it. Ooh. Oh my gosh. Oh, my heart just stopped. Oh my gosh. What in the world was that? I think it backfired. Do you think it back? Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I think it backfired. Holy crap. I felt that in my chest. Holy crap. Yeah, that was a very loud backfire. So, after that, I've been trying to figure out what is wrong with this, why is it not starting up. So I took a spark plug out, and it did have gasoline on the tip, which means it's getting gasoline, it's just not burning. And I turned it over with the spark plug out of here, and it does have a spark, it is sparking, so I thought, what if the timing's off? But unfortunately, I didn't have the camera rolling, and I hooked up the wires, and it fired up. It fired up for 2 seconds, and it sounded really good, sounded strong. I turned it off after like 2 seconds of it running, and I turned on the camera, and I've been trying to get it to start up again, and I can't seem to get it to just want to fire up again. But at least it fired up for 2 seconds until I turned it off. I just didn't get it on camera. So I'm pretty sure timing's not off. It is getting a spark because it did fire up off camera. It's just I'm trying to get it to do it again. So I did take off the paper towel I had on here just because maybe that's messing something up. I know I probably should have an air filter on here, but I don't have one. None of the auto places around me have one, so I need to order one. They're about $50, like around 30 to 50 bucks, and I don't want to wait a week for it to get here, so I'm just trying to just get it to fire up, so therefore I can prove that this runs. That's all I'm trying to do in this video, is just prove that this thing runs. So I'm gonna put the spark plug back in, and then we're just gonna keep going at it until it does something, until it either blows up again or fires up, hopefully. So yeah. Attempt 15. Ooh. See, why is it backfiring though? That's not good. Oh, it fired up! Oh, it fired up! Oh, I've been waiting all day for that. Alright, it fired up. So, sounded like it was running on all cylinders, kind of hard to tell because it was only running for maybe like a second, but it started up. Let's I have a screwdriver in here that's, upping the throttle a lot. Let's take that away. I don't have the throttle hooked up, so if I wanted to hit the throttle, I'd have to reach under here and do that, which looks weird. So let's turn the choke on, see if that does anything. Come on, baby. Come on! So that's the thing. It has gasoline in the float bowls, but it only seems to want to run on starter fluid. So I'm trying to maybe get it to, just spray a little bit of starter fluid in there to try and help it along to start, and then maybe once it fires up, then it will start running on the gasoline. That's what I'm trying to do, but it just doesn't want to seem to fire up. Okay, I'm kind of starting to see something. It's not sparking now, it just sparked once, and it's not a continuously timed spark. It sparks every now and again. That time it didn't spark at all. There it goes. That only sparked twice that time. So it's probably more electrical issues. At least it's sparking. At least it's sparking. So we just found out that it is sparking, but it's not sparking all the time. It'll spark every now and again, which is kind of really weird. Is my CDI gone bad? I have no idea. Let me see if this is true with all the spark plugs. It's a new day. I spent 4 hours messing around with the wiring and all the coils, and I found a couple shorts in the coils and the wires and all that stuff, and oh, it fires up! Okay, so alright, so we proved that it will fire up. I'm just having a really hard time getting it to continue to run on the gasoline that's in the carburetors, but at least it fires up. It sounds decent. It sounds like it's running on all cylinders. And yeah, let's do it again. Let's see if we can do it again. You can do it! Yeah. And this time I actually put coolant in the radiator. There is coolant right now in there. I thought that was an issue. Maybe there's a sensor to keep the engine from running if there's no coolant in there, so that's why I filled it up. Alright, so I've been working on this for probably a week now, tinkering around with it, trying to get it to run, and now we did get it to run on starter fluid. It's just, I did put gasoline in the carburetors. I manually fed gasoline into the inlet tubes of the carburetors, and it didn't want to fire up with with the gasoline in the carburetor. It only starts on starter fluid. I did try to put the midsection of the air box on here, and I did try to put a paper towel on top of it to kind of simulate the air filter, because I remembered that when I was working on the Suzuki bike, the Suzuki motorcycle engine, it did not want to fire up until I put the air box and the air filter that's designed for that bike. Once I put those on, then it fired right up. So I'm probably needing to get the air filter and the top part of the air filter box, and I can buy both of those. I can buy the whole set, the bottom piece, the mid piece, the top piece, and the air filter box, all that stuff on eBay. I think it was like 150 to 200 bucks around there. So I need to buy that, and but we did prove that it will run. It did start up on starter fluid. For a while I was playing around with the coils after I figured out how to get it to turn over without bypassing the solenoid. Once I figured out the wires that I need to connect to basically hotwire this thing, once I figured that out, the spark was pretty good. It wasn't the best spark, but it was sparking pretty good. It was kind of blue. And then after a while, after turning it over for a while, like a couple days of trying to get it to run, I pulled the spark plugs out, and the spark was almost non-existent. It wasn't sparking every single time it should have been, and it was a very yellow, very weak spark. So I thought for a while that the coils went bad, so I went out and bought a voltmeter to test out if they are bad, and I found out that the coils aren't bad. They weren't bad. What was happening is the spark plug wires that go into the coils, it was just having a very bad connection right there. So I played around with that, got it to have a much better connection, and then it did fire up a lot better. It had a lot better spark, and it did fire up with the starter fluid. But now the first video I made of this project, a couple people asked in the comments if they can buy certain parts of this. Somebody wanted to buy the plastics, somebody wanted to buy the front forks of this bike, and I didn't reply to you guys, mainly because I'm not sure what I'm keeping, I'm not sure what I'm selling, and most of the stuff is in pretty bad shape. The plastics, I'm probably just going to throw those away because they're in really bad shape. They were held together with zip ties because all the tabs where you screw them onto the bike, all those were broken. And they're beat up, they're scratched, they're cracked, they're in really bad shape, so trust me, you don't want them, they're broken. I'm probably just going to throw those away. As far as the suspension, the front forks, the tires, the wheels, the frame, I'm keeping all of this stuff for now. So please don't comment asking me if I can sell you some parts of this stuff. I'm not selling this stuff, I'm keeping most of this. What I wanted to mainly do in this video was just prove that it will run and this engine will fire up. With a little bit more time, a little bit more money, I think I can get that accomplished. I just need to work out some more kinks, and I'm not sure if I need to buy new coils. They're only 50 bucks on eBay. I may do it for the heck of it just to get it, because it's still not a perfect spark. It's still kind of a yellowish spark. It's not very strong, but it does seem to work a little bit better once I tinkered around with the connections of that. But and I think with a little bit more time, a little bit more money that I throw into this, I think it will be a great engine that I'm able to build my next project for this engine. Whatever that be, whether it be a dune buggy, a trophy truck. I'm kind of fond of the trophy truck idea, or maybe a quad with this engine. But I thought of a quad, with this engine, but really that's kind of overkill for something like that. And where would I take it? Where would I ride it? Yeah, it would be fun to have like, 100 plus mile an hour quad that I made from scratch with a 600cc Honda engine. That would be ridiculous. It would be awesome, but with this size of engine, I kind of want to build something bigger. So a trophy truck is kind of what I'm leaning towards. A mini trophy truck. Let me remind you, a miniaturized trophy truck. 2-seater. I think that'd be awesome. But whatever I do with this engine, I think it'll work properly and get it to run. Anyway, I'm rambling, so yeah, I'm gonna end the video here. Thank you for watching. Subscribe and have a nice day. Oh, I don't really want to take it apart. I kind of want to. You guys have no idea how much I want to fix this thing up and keep it a motorcycle, but unfortunately I can't do that just because I don't have a title for it. I mean, plus this bike is huge. I mean, I don't really fit on this thing, and I kind of fit on it. I do touch the ground, but I've heard that a 600cc motorcycle engine, or 600cc motorcycle is not a good beginner motorcycle. You want to stay below the 500s. That's what I've heard, but I want to keep this thing. Trust me, but that's not the reason I bought it. So.